All right, Vinnie Politan with that report for us. The judge is on the bench, but no action just yet in the case. Gives us some time to talk about it. I want to bring in my guest, attorney Ted Spalding, in the studio with me, and Dr. Sue Kornbleth standing by remotely. Good to see you both. Okay, Ted, in terms of the stories for both sides, what does each side have to hit on respectively in their opens?
Well, I mean, that's a very good question. So in their openings, prosecutor needs to go through the entire timeline. And in this one, when you're not talking the actual shooter, you're talking the person who created this conspiracy, hired the people, you need to tie it all together as the prosecutor. And that's not an easy thing to do. So the prosecutor needs to do that. And of course, defense is the typical thing. Start to poke holes. All right, and you want to start to line that up in your opening statement where you're headed to say, no, this is not the way that this happened.
Ted, thank you for that. Dr. Sue, you are an author and an expert in the field of high conflict divorce. And it seems to me we have one of them on our hands here in this case with Wendy Adelson and the victim, Dan Markell, and that bitter custody battle that was going on at the time he was murdered. Tell us, please, what's jumping out at you here, Dr. Sue?
Well, what's jumping out at me right now is specifically that this woman, Wendy, really hated her husband, I think, more than she loved her kids. This is a conspiracy, it seems. I don't understand why she's not up on charges right now. But when you put yourself and your own needs before your children, we have a serious problem here. In high conflict custody disputes, people are not in their right mind. They're going at each other. It's a litigation. And she wanted to move with her children and couldn't. And you have to sometimes make a compromise, because by taking those kids to Miami or wherever she was going keeps them away from their father. I don't know the specifics of the custody case, but what we do know is that it is important for children to grow up with both parents in their lives.
Amen, Dr. Sue. Preach. And this victim was not only a very loving dad, by all accounts, a loving son, and a beloved law professor. This guy is a teacher helping law students grow and flourish. We know one of his best friends. One of his best friends is attorney Dave Ehrenberg, who is the state attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida, a friend of Court TV Network, a regular contributor, on the shows with legal analysis. And he said, by all accounts, I mean, Dan was just a great guy through and through, as nice as he was bright, and here murdered in his own driveway. Now, these kids, to Dr. Sue's point, are left, without a dad. Not the best thing for them. And I'm with you, Dr. Sue, on Wendy Adelson and Mom Donna and Dad Harvey. If I'm all of them, I'm shaking in my boots. Shaking in my boots that more may be coming in the way of charges. Tell me, Ted, in terms of Charlie Adelson appearance today, he's looking a lot different than he has, in the previous hearings. We see him in his jail jumpsuit. Today, we're seeing the tie, all that. This guy's a doctor, not your typical criminal defendant. He's a periodontist. Has a very successful practice with his dad. I'm assuming made a lot of money. From what I've read about this case, it's a very wealthy family that has lived very well throughout their lives. This has to be a real shock to his system, just being in the jail prior to trial.
Yeah, it does. It would be interesting. And what I'm curious to see is what you typically get in these cases is the defense going to put them up.
Right.
Because you got to figure it's tantalizing. I've got a really good defendant who should be able to get up there and could maybe convince a jury. Do I put them up?
Right.
And, the standard is don't put them up. So what are you going to do?
You're right, Ted. They rarely help themselves on the stand. Dr. Sue knows. All right, so we're getting word that the reason that Charlie Adelson is standing up is because the jury is entering. The judge is going to give them some preliminary instructions. While that happens, we're going to hit a break. Before we go to that break, we want to share some new information with you now. This is just confirmed in the case of Lori Vallow Daybell Wednesday. Her extradition warrant signed by Idaho Governor Brad Little. So now, Cult Mom set to be extradited to Arizona. Bye-bye, Cult Mom. She's going to go face some charges of murder relating to her estranged husband, Charles Vallow. A guy, again, we're talking about, by all accounts, a great guy. That was him, by all accounts. And there's no word on when she's going to be sent to Arizona, but we'll keep you posted on that. The openings in Florida versus Adelson are up next.
Brilliant law professor gunned down.
In the midst of a bitter custody battle.
Now the victim's former brother-in-law, a prominent South Florida dentist,
accused of being the mastermind behind the murder.
Florida prosecutors are setting their sights on Charlie Adelson.
3 people have already been convicted for their role in the plot.
Now, will Charlie Adelson's own words come back to haunt him?
The Dentist Mastermind Murder Trial. Live coverage today on Court TV.
More than 8 years since Dan Markell was brutally murdered outside his home, justice has only been partially served. Do you have any knowledge of anyone being involved in a plot to kill your husband?
No.
What enemy or enemies had Mr. Markell made that set into motion such a brutal act? Do you ever joke about he looked into hiring a hitman, but buying you a TV as a divorce present would be cheaper?
He did make that joke.
The answer: his own family.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant, your host. We got a big day cooking. We're about to hear the opening statements in the case against Dr. Charlie Adelson, accused in the murder of his brother-in-law, Professor Dan Markell, law professor at Florida State University. Right now, the judge is instructing the jury. And we know these are sometimes very tedious, hard to kind of listen to, so we're going to keep an eye. And as soon as the opens begin, we know that's what you want to hear, the stories of these cases from the respective sides. We're going to listen to that live. The Take Care of Maya trial is streaming for you on CourtTV.com. I know many of you want to follow that. We've got it streaming. And there's a live look in that courtroom for you as well, with lead defense counsel talking before the judge. This case, I was just talking with my guest, attorney Ted Spalding. It's taken quite a turn, and the scales of justice have really strongly tipped in favor of the defense. I always say 2 sides to every story, and we certainly didn't see the other side in the documentary. The documentary was very well done. It breaks your heart, but it's only focused on the perspective of the Kowalskis. And now hearing the perspective of these doctors, they're calling into question whether she even had CRPS, and they're doubling down that her mother had Munchausen by proxy and affected the child. So we'll keep an eye on that. But let's talk about the Adelsons. We were just chatting about whether Charlie will be up on the stand during this trial. We may get a hint of that. Sometimes in opening statements, lawyers will say, you're going to hear from my client. Let me bring back in attorney Ted Spalding and Dr. Sue Kornbluth. So Ted, I think there can be some good reasons to put Charlie Adelson up on the stand. Usually my answer is no, but this is a guy with 0 criminal history, very prominent guy in the community, a doctor, and somebody who is removed from the actual event. You know, we know that he wasn't the person who pulled the trigger. Maybe he is removed enough to say, I knew nothing about this. What do you think, Ted?
Yeah, you just nailed it. That's what I was thinking, is what is the evidence that the prosecutor has? And the more it's extenuated and they're trying to grasp at circumstantial evidence, you've got a defendant who you would assume is very articulate, makes a good impression in front of a jury. This might be the case to put him on the stand. But like you said earlier, it's still always risky. So you're tempted, it's tantalizing to do that, but you know it's all or nothing at that point.
Sure. It's a risk that he may be willing to take because his life is on the line. So this may be one of those cases where you say, look, let me try to convince the jury. If he's well-spoken, he's obviously very intelligent, he may do well. Dr. Sue, in trial number 1, you know, we saw the other 3 who've been accused in this all going to trial before, and we saw Wendy Adelson was called by the state of Florida as a witness, said she had nothing to do with it, was very calm and cool. I imagine they're going to call her again because this was her ex-husband who was murdered, the father of her children. What are you looking for as a psychologist, Dr. Sue, as you watch Wendy testify?
Well, first of all, I don't know how calm she was right there. To me, she looked almost like a deer in headlights. So what I would be looking for here is that her answers are quick, that her answers are on target, that she's consistent in what she is saying to the jury, and that she is presenting it in a way that she can draw empathy from the jury.
Appreciate it, Dr. Sue. Let's listen to a little more Wendy. Let's remind ourselves of how she looked and sounded in trial number 1.
After the murder of Mr. Markell, did Charlie Adelson take you out for a celebration dinner?
No, I do remember that dinner. After Danny died, I was terrified that someone was going to come after me or my children and harm us as well. And so I didn't leave my house for about a month. And when I finally felt ready to leave the house and have dinner, I told my brother that I wanted to have dinner, that I was ready to finally go to a restaurant and eat a meal again. But it was certainly not a celebration.
Okay, Dr. Sue, looking at her. Oh, look at your face. I love it. Dr. Sue, I see the skepticism all over your beautiful face. What do you think?
I couldn't help it. I'm just looking at her face and thinking to myself, I mean, you could see it in the eyes. To me, this isn't really good testimony. I think she's kind of making it up as she's going along here. As I said, this would be to her benefit, Julie, to get rid of him.
Right.
Because then she could have the life that she wants. She can move with her kids. She can be a single mom, meet another guy. This benefits her and only her.
Dr. Sue, thank you for saying that. I was saying in my opening statement on my show, I believe it was yesterday morning, about how there are really 2 questions that need to be answered with this, and I think they're the most important ones. Who stood to benefit the most from Dan Markell's murder? Thank you, Dr. Sue Kornbleth, for answering that for us. And then number 2, who paid for the hit? Because those thugs didn't work for free. They didn't do that long drive, rent that car without being paid. Who financed that homicide? Those are the questions I want answered. Dr. Sue, Ted Spalding, thank you both. Stand by. We're going to hit a break. We think these instructions are almost over, so we're going to hit that break now and watch the opening statements together right after this.
Brilliant law professor gunned down.
In the midst of a bitter custody battle.
Now the victim's former brother-in-law, a prominent South Florida dentist,
accused of being the mastermind behind the murder.
Florida prosecutors are setting their sights on Charlie Adelson.
3 people have already been convicted for their role in the plot.
Now, will Charlie Adelson's own words come back to haunt him?